One of the things that we do best is highlight stories the mainstream media is ignoring. And one person who is just about the best in the business at that is Lee Stranahan. He's a man who had a conversion from the left to the right, as are so many people in the Breitbart ethos. And Lee, you've been tracking a story that has been so hot with our callers, and I know we've got some on hold already. They've been holding all day to talk about this. Huma Abedin, more developments in this story. Let's first, there's two stories I want to get to with you, but let's start with your one from last night, which is Hillary Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, published articles that blamed the USA for 9/11 and blamed women for violence. That's incredible, Lee. Walk us through this.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. So this is a story that a number of writers have been covering for years now. And I started basically refocusing on it early this year, January, February. I published a number of stories about it. And the focus I was putting on it at that time was real simple. And this is for a variety of reasons, because it's accurate, but also it's clear. And especially with as few days as we have before Election Day. The real simple story here is that Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's top assistant, was raised in Saudi Arabia, and she was brought to Saudi Arabia with her family when she was a toddler, and her family was brought there by the government of Saudi Arabia, by a member of the Shura Council named Omar Nassif, to set up a journal and an institute called the Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs. Now, that journal is funded by and is part of the Muslim World League. And everybody in America should know who the Muslim World League is. They were started in 1962 by Saudi Arabia, and their their purpose is to promote Islam around the world. It's to spread specifically Wahhabist Islam, which is the fundamentalist Islam that Saudi Arabia is the state religion. It's called Wahhabism. And every major terror group, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, ISIS, they're all Wahhabist groups. Just go look it up. This is beyond question. And the real frustrating thing, Alex, is that the media has completely ignored this and done what they do. They put it off as a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. And the one proof of that is this group, the Muslim World League, in 2009, Hillary Clinton herself said is funding terror. The 28 pages says the Muslim World League is funding terror. And this journal, that's the Abedin family business, according to Vanity Fair, and that's not me, according to them, is in literally the offices of the Muslim World League's London office. So they could not be closer. They are they're part of the Muslim World League, which is the Saudi government. Now, just there, we don't have to go any further. Just the fact that Hillary's top aide has such close connections with Saudi Arabia, and specifically with a charity that Hillary Clinton herself says is funding terrorism. What? That's enough.
Wow.
That's all we need. That's all we need. And there's no part of that that is unclear. There's no part of that that's in doubt. Nothing. Now, Paul Sperry over at the New York Post, doing God's work over there, finally got some mainstream media attraction, and in exactly the right spot, New York. Let's be really clear on this. Huma Abedin, when the towers came down on 9/11, was working for New York Senator Hillary Clinton. That's what was going on. And at the same time, Huma Abedin was an editor for this journal. And what Sperry brought out is that after 9/11, Huma Abedin's own mother wrote that basically the U.S. was to blame, that our cycle of violence had set up a ticking time bomb. And because it's a New York paper, and because so many New Yorkers were affected by 9/11, really affected by 9/11, it's their city, it's their state, it started to get some traction. And the best thing in the world has happened. This has been so frustrating for so many months. Nobody would ask Hillary Clinton, her campaign, anybody about this. So finally yesterday, a reporter actually asked someone at the State Department, did Hillary Clinton know that Huma Abedin was involved with this radical, journal? And the State Department punted, basically, and said, well, I don't know. Well, let me tell you, people have been writing, I'm going to say this again, people have been writing about this for years. Yes, Hillary Clinton knew. Absolutely she knew, because people have been talking about this for years and years and years. So now, hopefully, the pressure is going to keep up, and the media is going to ask people in the Hillary Clinton campaign, can you explain? They said, the State Department said...
Yeah. Lee, let's put some words in their mouth. How can they explain that she had her name on the masthead of this radical Muslim journal?
Well, what they're saying is she wasn't actually an editor. Her name was on there sort of as a figurehead. Well, I'd like to know why they put a 19-year-old woman's name on there as a figurehead. Furthermore, okay, there's some further questions. But your mother still wrote what she wrote. Your sister's name is on there. Is she a figurehead? Your brother's name is on there. He's a figurehead. Your father's name, what was he doing? And furthermore, do you agree with the things that your mother said? This was on there. Did you have your name pulled off because you disagreed? Do you agree? They can't answer these questions. They can't explain. I want to hear details. If Huma was vetted, where are the details? But let's go back to the thing you talked about for a second, Alex, before I came on, activism. Yes, the media is biased. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? That's the reality. What are you going to do about it? Just a simple example. Trump supporters were attacked, spit on, and robbed last week in Minneapolis. That is a thing that happened, okay? Forget buses of people. Have you seen a single press conference, Alex, where people just step in front of a microphone at a podium with the cameras running and say, we need police accountability, we need people? Have you seen one? You watch the news. Have you seen a press conference?
No. I haven't seen one.
You haven't. Let me explain how hard it is to do a press conference. You rent a hotel room. It's about $400 or $500. You put a TV, you get a podium, you tell the local media we're going to have a press conference. You have 3 or 4 people stand up there. One person intros it, the other 2 people say, we were victims, and you say, we are calling for the Minneapolis police to investigate this. We need arrest. We need justice. That's what you need. It's the easiest thing in the world. You don't need busloads of people. You need about 4 or 5 people. It'd be nice if you had another dozen people standing behind them in solidarity, but whatever, I'm not picky. Doing that kind of press conference, do you know who would show up to that? Every local media outlet in Minneapolis. Also,
You're right on this, Lee. And Lee understands, Lee Stranahan, who's our chief investigative reporter at Breitbart News. He's a guy who converted from the left. And the thing that's best about Lee is he provides this perspective on what the left has as an advantage over the right. If you check the top of the page of Breitbart News right now, you see an incredible interview that Joshua Green, who's really become the chief Bannon expert in the mainstream media. He's a Bloomberg reporter. And he is on a segment with Rachel Maddow where he explains, he really pulls the cover back a little bit about Steve Bannon and the Breitbart News operation. And one thing that Steve has in common with me, with Andrew Breitbart, and with a lot of people like Lee Stranahan and Brandon Darby and our top line guys at Breitbart News, is studying the left's tactics, because they have kicked our butts over the last 50 or 60 years in terms of getting their horrible ideas to get mainstream play. So let's take our great ideas and use their great tactics that they use to push their crappy ideas. It makes sense. And so following what Lee is saying is every bit as essential as covering all of the hotline news stories. Lee, we're running short on time in the segment, but I do want to bring in Eric in Pennsylvania, who's been waiting patiently to talk about Huma the entire morning. Eric, thanks for hanging on with me. How are you doing, sir?
Good. I wanted to discuss how it is possible this woman is vetted to get a security clearance, yet they're swearing up and down they're going to be able to vet all these immigrants from Syria coming into the country. And then to have some person by the name of Cheryl Mills basically approve that she's okay to work for the foundation and work for the State Department at the same time.
Yeah,
I mean,
Eric,
I don't understand that.
Eric, we got it. Perfect. Lee, we only got about a minute left in the segment, but give me your take on this. How is this legal, and how are we considering, how is it even legal to put this person, Huma Abedin, back in the White House when we know that she's sitting there she's emailing on behalf of the State Department and the Clinton Foundation simultaneously while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State?
And she's as deeply involved in the Clinton email saga as you can get. Look, I mean, if I have to say how is this possible, the answer is because I'll just go back to what I said. Where are the crowds? Where is the street? Where are the people pointing this out? Where are the people asking Hillary Clinton at every event, or people going up to Huma Abedin and politely asking her questions when they see her? Can you explain this? Where's the pressure? Where's the pressure even on Anthony Weiner to explain? Did his wife, a devout Muslim, get a dispensation to marry him? He's a Jew. That's what's supposed to happen. If you know anything about Islam, if she's a devout Muslim whose mother is a Wahhabist living in Saudi Arabia, which is what's going on, how did Huma Abedin, how is she allowed, what imam okayed that she married a Jew? Simple question. Because you need an imam's approval to do that, right? There's a lot of questions about Huma Abedin, and no one's asking there, and the media is not going to do it. We're going to do it at Breitbart as best we can, but we can't do it alone. And I think if there's a theme this morning, that's what it is, Alex. Hillary Clinton is getting away with this because the media, the guy earlier said, where are the Hillary Clinton supporters? He's in Atlanta. I'll tell you where the Hillary Clinton supporters are in Atlanta. They're on CNN. You just need to turn on the TV. That's where they are.
Lee Stranahan, we will return to you to cover Huma Abedin throughout the rest of the election, as well as these tactics in terms of community outreach and getting people engaged in the political process. And do not think, ladies and gentlemen, that you are not having a massive impact.